Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 267 of The Funnel. 5 sales management mistakes killing sales performance. Before we begin, I want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com, subscribe, and receive a free coaching call. Today's agenda: who do you promote? Selling managers, no sales manager, no management training or development, and lack of tools and support. So who do you promote? When I was kind of researching and coming up with my own thoughts, what people are saying out there, I want to see what people are saying, and then I want to really come down to what I truly feel are the key components of a podcast and what I'm going to talk about. And I always hear the same old tired story. Sales, companies promote their best rep into management. They don't always make the best managers, and this is a failing and a flaw, and et cetera, et cetera. That's the same old tired story. You ask any management consultant, or you go to any marketing blog. Marketing people are famous for saying this. The biggest mistake sales companies make is promoting the best rep to manager. So it seems to me to be a tired story. We get it. I understand it. But I want you to tell me what you would do. Okay? You've got somebody who's performing at a high level and they want to be a manager. Are you going to say, yes, you've performed at a high level, you've made a lot of money, you've done so much for the company, but we're not promoting you. We're going to promote this person over here. Oh, you mean the one that's underperforming? They're not at quota. They haven't sold enough, but we think they'll make a good manager. You see where I'm going with this? Everybody wants to tell you that's a mistake, but nobody wants to tell you how to fix that. How do you tell the number one sales rep in your organization that you don't want them to be your sales manager because you don't think they're going to succeed? I'll tell you how. I'm not going to get into that same old tired story, because sometimes your top rep could be a really good manager, a great manager. Maybe that's not the reason managers are failing. So let's put that aside for a second, and let's think about how we can move off of that tired story. First and foremost, you need to change the criteria for what it takes to be a manager, and then let everybody know what that looks like, right? So what do I mean by change your criteria? I'm not saying you need to be an underperforming rep that never shows up for meetings and you've got an opportunity to be a manager. What I'm saying is the success in the sales arena, in other words, revenue attainment, profit attainment over quota, is one part of the criteria. So the criteria is this, for example: you need to be at or above your stated quota for a blank period of time, however you feel that's necessary. I mean, people have bad years, or they're new to the business and it takes them a year to get up and running, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to decide what that looks like: a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever that looks like. But that's one of the criteria, not the entire criteria. You have to display leadership ability. Okay, that's a pretty broad statement. Well, everybody follows me. Yeah, because you're paying for drinks at happy hour. That's not leadership. Now, if they followed you and you never bought them a drink, that's leadership. Just kidding. The truth is that you need to define what leadership looks like. What is that criteria? Clear requirements. Okay, so you have to be at your number for X period of time. You have to display leadership ability, and here's what we mean by that. One, you have to be a model citizen. You're not a brown nose, but you have to support the company's efforts every day. Even if you don't agree with something, you come in, you close the door, we talk about it. But it's not out there in the bullpen. You're compliant in all the areas we require you to be compliant. None of this, I'm at my number, I don't have to do the other work. That means I have to do the stuff that I'm required to do in the CRM. I have to show up for meetings on time. I have to participate at a high level. So if we're doing training meetings or events, I have to participate. Okay, and you can lay that criteria out. You can say that you have to offer to do things maybe outside the lines a little bit. One could be mentoring a new rep, spending a day in the field with somebody who's thinking about joining your company. Those things that sales reps tend to shy away from because they want nothing to do with it because they got better things to do with their time. Okay, as long as it doesn't impact their sales, right? So you don't want to say to them, yeah, you have to go out and buy everybody lunch and spend 2 hours in the admin department once a week making them happy. I'm making stuff up here, but you get my point. You can't make the criteria something that takes away from their job. But you want them to show that they have what it takes to be a successful leader, that they're going to be the kind of person that you're going to want to promote into management. So you have the quota number, you have the criteria, and it's very clear. These are the things you have to do. Active participant, show up for meetings, be a good citizen, no complaining or undermining the company. Those types of things. Okay, those are the requirements. You have to display leadership in other form or fashion. For example, if we're looking for a mentor for a young rep or a new rep, we're looking for somebody to do field rides or be an ambassador. Sometimes you have to have meetings to clear things up internally. So those types of things that show leadership. And then as a management group, we have to see that. We have to see how the other players react to you. Do they respect you? Or do they loathe you because you're a brown noser and you say things you shouldn't say? There's a fine line. I want you to do the things the right way, but I don't need a spy. I don't want a spy. I want someone who could show their chops out in the bullpen. Okay, so I've said enough about that. Provide development opportunities for them, maybe a program like leadership or management development, that you mentor them and show them some of the things you're doing as a manager and why you do them and why you make some of the decisions you make. You put a whole program together, clear requirements, same criteria, and you offer it to folks who display the interest in being a manager. So then when it comes time to move into that promotion, it's a no-brainer. Or you make a decision between two people who are highly qualified with one of the criteria of the multiple criteria as being the number. So people don't question that. So the person who loses the opportunity, maybe they're the number one rep, can at least see in some form or fashion that they lost to someone more qualified than them. Well, they may or may not be happy about that, but you did it the right way. And then you'll find yourself in a great position not only to find good managers, but in some cases to promote the top rep and not have to hear that same old tired BS story. Okay. Selling managers. I've said this before. I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do. But time is your enemy as a manager. How the hell are you going to manage people and go out and sell at the same time? It's a built-in dilemma, right? It's a push-pull. On one hand, you're telling them to manage these people to the best of their ability and they've got to sell a lot more. And on the other hand, you're saying, and oh, by the way, you have to hit those same types of numbers. Right? So it doesn't make sense to me. You put them in a position to make a choice. Do I sell or do I manage? And you can't do both. It's just impossible. Then you put them in a position where they're competing with their reps for success. So play this scenario out in any one of multiple ways. Leads come in and they're distributed evenly, and you're beating the living daylights out of your team in terms of your sales. And they think you're getting all the good leads. They think you're doing something to put yourself in a better position because you're the boss. Or the manager's the boss. Maybe they are doing that because you put your manager in that position to make that kind of decision and they made the wrong one. Okay, how does that look? Or flip it over. You're underperforming as a rep and then you're on people you're managing to perform at a higher level. Does it make sense to you? Do as I say, not as I do? It doesn't to me. So you're putting the manager in an impossible situation and it completely destroys morale. Just the two scenarios I laid out here are problematic. And there's many, many more. It's just too difficult. So if you can't afford to hire a manager, then figure something else out. That's coming up in this podcast. But the reality is you got to pick one or the other. Well, I can't afford to lose my top rep. Oh, you promoted your top rep? Or I can't afford to lose a producing rep to management. Well, I'm sure you've been looking for potential candidates to hire. You've always got a pipeline of potential candidates because you never know what's going to happen. You got a great onboarding program and you know how to interview and hire people, so it shouldn't be an issue. You can hire somebody, bring them on board, get him up and running in a very short amount of time, transition the manager out of the territory, the rep out of the territory into management, and transition the new person into the territory. Back in the day at a company I worked with, we had a bench of young reps. I've said this before, and we just moved them right in if they were available. Only if they'd earned the right to the job, but you get the point. So why would you do that? Why would you put your managers at a disadvantage from Jump Street? Doesn't make sense to me. Okay. No sales manager at all. Well, this is an interesting one. Small business. The owner is the sales manager. And what do they have? They have poor skill sets. And what don't they have? Time. Because they lack it. Because they're doing other things. They're trying to run their company or build their company or do whatever it is that they do as the CEO, president, et cetera, et cetera. And you expect them to manage the salespeople. Now, here's how these folks manage as a general rule. They hire you as a sales rep and they say, go get them, Tiger. Because they assume, hey, I hired you to sell, go sell. They assume that you don't need any coaching, any development, any help, any support, any training. Here's the price book. Go find me clients. Doesn't work that way. My guess is you have a lot of turnover when you do that. Or maybe because you were selling before. I love this one. There's no sales manager, and I'm paying them a little less than I should because anybody can sell. Not really. So you're putting yourself at a disadvantage when you don't have a sales manager. Now, this is a tough one because I've had this conversation. And sometimes there's just not enough money to do it. My recommendation would be to get yourself some help. Somebody that can coach you on how to manage your salespeople. A lot of times what I do with folks like that is I don't give them the whole playbook. It's like, it's like getting in football. It's like getting a rookie quarterback. You don't just open a playbook up and say, do what you need to do. I look at the time they have. I try to ascertain their commitment level to what I'm about to teach them. I talk to them about their commitment level and implementing and deploying the things I need them to deploy. And then I teach them how to do certain things that I think will help them in their situation get better at what they do. A lot of it is wrapped around coaching and the appropriate types of meetings and the appropriate types of conversations. And I will tell you, I've had great success with it. There are some people in the beginning who don't want to listen to what I have to say. And then eventually they start to come around and they can see the movement. Now, what does this do for them? It buys them time. Time to build the sales pipeline. Now, they all come up with this story that I'm hiring this person. Eventually they're going to be manager and they're going to hire a team. That's their story and they're sticking to it. Then by the fifth person, they're like, hey, look, I just want to sell. I just want them to sell. And then we'll look at that down the road. What I'm telling you is that you just need to find somebody who can sell for you and sell a lot and learn how to manage them and develop them and coach them in a way that provides enough movement forward. So I wouldn't hire somebody straight out of college. I'd hire someone with experience and I'd go through a real rigorous interview process to make sure I had the right person. And then I would manage them as an owner. That's what I would do here. But if you're doing it the other way, you're just killing yourself and you're killing performance. Then I would hire my manager at some point down the road. And here's the biggest benefit of all. You've had experience doing it. You've had experience doing it right as an owner or CEO. And you know how to manage the manager and you know what you should be looking for. It puts you in a much greater position. A lot of these folks in those jobs, they just depend on the manager to feed them what they need to be fed. And they hope that they're getting it right. And it could be way off base. And by the time they figure it out, it's too late. So there's a great amount of education that comes with that and wisdom. And that's extremely helpful. Okay, the next one is no management training or development. This is where it drives me crazy. Okay. I just had this conversation today with somebody. It's like you, as the manager, are the most important person. You are the most important component in this whole big thing. This team's going to go the way you go as a manager. Make no mistake about it. Now I go back to my football scenario. How does a team just do so lousy one year, a new coach comes in, and they're just tearing it up? Same player, same talent, very few changes, and all of a sudden it's a different team. It's management. It's coaching. It's developing. It's training. Okay. I'm looking at the video screen here because we video this in audio. There's a chicken and an egg on the picture because it's chicken or egg. So as you can tell, I didn't put the pictures up here. So the challenge, I guess, for me moving forward is to put content in here that gets me funny pictures like this. And so, Meg, we're going to have to have a game with that. So moving on. Chicken or egg, right? If there's no management training or development, but I've got the sales reps, do I train the sales reps or I train the manager? Train the manager. Okay, I just gave you the secret. Train the manager. And sometimes I work with people on that. I'm in the process of doing that right now. Hey, I can help you. How about this? How about I work with you exclusively on the management side of it, and we build this out the way it's supposed to be, and then we'll comb the sales training in. But it's not going to get you the movement you need unless your manager's developed or trained. Focus your energy on that. They'll take it from there. Everyone needs development and training, and I've said this a million times before. Would you hire an attorney that doesn't know the new laws that are in place? Would you hire an accountant that's not staying ahead of the game? Or a doctor that's never been to any kind of class since they graduated med school in 1978? Do you know what's happened since 1978? Would you want that to be your cardiac surgeon? Nope. Your cardiologist? Nope. It's a seriously flawed mentality that just says, well, I moved you into management. Somehow you should go to bed tonight and wake up a manager. I don't need to develop or train you. Isn't that sort of the natural progression? It makes no sense. But people do it over and over and over. I don't understand it. Next is lack of tools and support. This one's easy, but people do it all the time. Bad CRM, poor admin processes, and you're expected to do more than selling. So you're killing their productivity by not giving them the tools they need to be successful. Well, someone's going to say, well, I just invested in a whole back office system, enterprise system to do that. They need to do it. It costs me such and such. Well, if it's heavily laden in administrative tasks and they have to type and add things and everybody's expecting them to do all this stuff, forget about it. It's a waste of your time and money. They're there to sell for you. Okay? I want them to document what they're selling. I want them to follow the sales process and the methodology, and I want to see in the CRM the progress they're making in their deals. That simple. But I need it to be easy for them to do that. I don't need to have a contract where they have to sign the contract like something like 16 times in different places. You might be laughing at that, but I came out of a company years ago that required that. And they couldn't figure out why they weren't getting contracts with signatures in the right place all the time. And they were sending the reps back out to get initialed documents. Like, because they have to sign it 16 times. People make mistakes. 16 times in 16 different places on a single contract. It's insane. Make the contracts easier. You'll have less problems. Well, then if the sales reps do what they're supposed to do, that's lack of tools and support. That's like you're not thinking. That's not what they're here to do. They stink at paperwork. Get over it. So if they have to spend all night on a Wednesday night preparing a presentation for the senior management group so they can sit and do a dog and pony show for 2.5 hours, something's wrong. It's unimportant. What you should say to them, I'm going to get rid of this 2.5 hour meeting to do the dog and pony show with the senior management. All you have to do is use this really easy, simple CRM that we put in place that pretty much does everything for you. All you have to do is document your activity and your whole pipeline, your forecast, everything in there properly. So then we don't have to do this 2.5 hour dog and pony show. Win-win. That's how you get movement on that. Thank you for subscribing to The Funnel. Find us at alignment-group.com/thefunnel. You can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com alignment group, at Shay John Art on Twitter, and then of course I'm on LinkedIn. Don't forget to contact me, Shay at alignment-group.com. My website is alignment-group.com. Said it enough for you to remember it. Again, thank you for subscribing. Until next time, keep feeling the funnel.